can play queen d2 and castles. I'm gonna go queen d2 and castles. This is what I grew up playing against the dragon when I did go play the open. There are many setups which, if we have time to get into, I will play. Do I think Magus is the GOAT? It's very hard to say he isn't. I mean, it depends what your metric is, but I think if we work on the assumption that chess players are getting better and better over time, the way that he dominates when everyone has access to so many different skills is incredible. Okay, so we're playing the dragon here, typical setup. Let's see what my opponent does. He can play like bishop e3 or f3 potentially if he wants to. Bishop e3, f3, bishop e2 are probably the three main moves that are played by white. Okay, he goes bishop d3, a little bit dubious here, not a terrible move, but bishop d3 puts the bishop in the way of the knight. So now I can play here and contest the knight right away and try to win it, or he'll have to trade. Now, of course, I can also go bishop g7, which I will now do, try to develop cleanly. Probably if I was playing for the beginners, I should have played bishop g7 first, because it's the better move objectively, or more thematic, I should say. Okay, he goes to h3, good move. This stops knight g4. Now I'm going to go bishop d7 and rook c8 to really try and put pressure on the diagonal, but also use this half open file for my rook on c8. It's a very flexible, very flexible setup here, which is why I really do like the dragon. Who's the fastest online chess player? It probably, if you get to, like, I'll give you an example. My scramble that I just drew where I messed it up and the game ended in a draw against this Kazakh fighter kid, Andrew Tang would have won that game every single time. He would have won that every single time. So I mean, if you get down to 10 seconds and it's not like it's not where you just push a pawn, pre-move a pawn up the board, Andrew is easily the best. It's not even close. No one else is even remotely close. So I'm gonna go rook c8, put pressure on the c file. When does your contract with Kick end? It ends in March. Probably it's going to be renewed, but you know, we'll see what happens. I'm going to castle my king here and maybe go queen a5, maybe play knight e5. Very standard here. My opponent has to decide, is he castling queenside or kingside here? So he castles. Okay, so he castles kingside. Now what I'm going to do here is I have to figure out how do I plan the center here exactly. I can go knight e5, there's e5, d5. E5 I think is what I would play in an actual game, but it's not thematic here. It doesn't fit with the themes of how you play a dragon. So I'm going to go knight e5 instead and try to use this open file for the knight and the rook. Okay, let's go queen c7, try to go knight c4 here potentially and put pressure on the bishop or the pawn. Tesla was dethroned. Yeah, Tesla, I'm in a bit of a sticky spot on Tesla because until basically the start of the year, I was expecting not to have my shares in Tesla because I sold covered calls at $250 and it was like 250-ish. Or sorry, sold calls at 230 for $20. So I was feeling very good. I thought I'd no longer stock, I'd be out, and Tesla's completely fallen off the cliff. So I went from a situation where I was looking at like a max profit of basically $40 per share because I bought at 190 to 230 and then $20 premium, and now it's at like 215. It's $15 below where I sold those covered calls, which expire on Friday. And I'm actually not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to play knight c4 here, try to put pressure on the bishop or the pawn. Can we play in the arena? Absolutely. No, you guys misunderstand me. When I talk about speed, OM Gupta, I'm not saying that Dan is not the better player in like 30-second chess. What I'm saying is that if you get to a scramble with like 10 seconds or less on the board where there's no clear-cut win, where it's not like you push the pre-moves or you create a ladder with like five to 10 pre-moves in a row, if you have to actually play moves, Andrew Tang is better than anybody else. I'm not saying that in 30 seconds Danny can't beat him, but if you get to a moment where it's like 10 seconds or less where it's just about the speed, ultimately nothing else, I do think Andrew is better than anyone else. And Danny has actually said that to me privately as well, that basically in these critical games where they get down to like 10 seconds, Danny is just not as good as Andrew. Okay, we got b3 played here. Now what I'm gonna do here is I can take the bishop or take the pawn. I think I'm gonna take, because now I really want to use the bishop and the rook in conjunction here. He takes with the pawn to support the knight, but now he actually loses the knight. I stack the rooks and I should be crashing through here because I have an extra piece. Yeah, raw calculation, intuition, mouse speed, whatever you want to call it, when it's like 10 seconds. Of course, if, like, you know, in bullet, for example, I would beat Andrew Tang. I mean, I beat Andrew Tang when we play 1 minute straight up bullet, but that doesn't mean that I think that I'm faster than him in the critical moments. Okay, let's go rook c5 to attack the knight here on b5. Jerry says the same, that Tang the slipper one was fast. Man, Jerry, what, he got left behind and everything. I feel kind of bad because Jerry was the OG. He was the first He was the first guy I think who was streaming chess on Twitch, Twitch, YouTube, whatever you want to call it. He was the first guy who was really streaming it, and he kind of got left behind, which is kind of sad because he is the true OG. Now I'm gonna go rook a5, trap this knight here on the edge of the board, and I should be winning the game. Yeah. Hammer, no, Jerry was, I mean, Jerry, I want to say, let me open Twitch tracker on my other monitor. Jerry's YouTube channel is very old, but let me see. Chess Network. I'll win the game in a second because I'm winning the night. Let's just take Chess Network. Let me see his chart streams. His streams on Twitch only began wait, is this for real? Jerry had 11,000 viewers on November of 2016. Whoa, let's go rook c5. He had 11,000 viewers. Was that world championship or something? Let's take the pawn and go knight c3. Let's go here, fork the queen of the rook, and win the game in a second. Wow. Just take the rook. Let's go rook e5. That must have been during the world championship, but 11,000 viewers in 2016 is pretty amazing. Okay, we got the win. Let's keep going. I did not see a Nepo podcast that he released, nor does it particularly matter to me. That was world championship. Nonetheless, Jerry streamed in 2016. He was on YouTube quite a while before that too, I think. But nonetheless, I mean, he was the OG for sure. Pretty amazing stuff, huh? Pretty amazing. I mean, did Nepo release a podcast like a week ago? I don't think he released one today, but maybe he did. He talks about me. Okay, good for him. Yeah, if my mods think it's worth covering, I can. I'll check with them. Okay, let's go bishop e3. Pretty standard start out. I'm gonna play f3 here, queen d2. This is one of the more aggressive approaches. You can play bishop c4 and bishop b3, which is the Yugoslav, or you can play queen d2 and castles. I'm gonna go queen d2 and castles. This is what I grew up playing against the dragon when I did go play the open. There are many setups which, if we have time to get into, I will play. Oh, I made it 90 minutes by accident, so I can't play the whole arena. Whoops, I meant to make it 60. Whoops, I made it 90 by accident. Let's just take so I take, I'll cast player. Actually, I won't be able to play the last 30 minutes, unfortunately, but we will play for the next 50-ish minutes. Goes e5. Bad move here because now I can play bishop e3 to pressure the pawn on d6. Don't see any new videos. Okay, so then yeah, people are referring to the old one. Yeah, no, you can't reduce the amount of time. You can't. No, I mean, I could have played bishop takes e5, but I think knight e4 might have been complicated. Actually, why would Nepo release a podcast an hour ago? He wouldn't release a podcast an hour ago because he's playing Tata Steel. That would be insane. Yeah. Okay, so we have queen takes d6, trade takes. I'm up a pawn here in the center of the board. I can maybe go bishop e2 and rook d1. He plays rook d8. I can obviously trade the rooks, which I will. Let's trade the rooks. Go bishop e2 and play rook d1 next move. Simply up one extra pawn here in the center of the board. I have a 3v2. It's a free piece. Oops, slight mistake. Let's play rook d1, try to trade some pieces here. Maybe knight c3, knight d5. I can always just take, go c4, bishop c4. Let's play g3 here, cut off the knight. Goes f5. I'm just gonna play knight c3, bring the knight back. If f4, I'll go bishop f2. I could take, but I don't want to take because then I open up the scope, so I don't want this bishop getting active here. Play hg3 here, and I can go bishop c4, knight d5. The rest should be very basic. Let's go knight d5. Am I doing this candidate speedrun? No, I'm not. I'm gonna trade the knights. I'm gonna go g4, make sure he can't create a pass pawn here, and then I just slowly bring the king over, start playing on the queen side, and I should be winning. Also, bishop can't touch any of the pawns. Let's go here, walk the king up to a4. Take the pawn, king a6, b4, b5. Very straightforward. Go c4, c5, c6. Actually, I'll just take the pawn, and away we go. Just take the bishop, b6, b7. Let's go b6. let's make a queen. I can just go check. I don't want to stalemate him here, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually force him to take some pieces, basically. Yeah, I'm gonna go h6 h7. I'm just gonna ignore him. He can always take the bishop, and I'm just gonna make a queen here. As long as he's a pawn that he can push up the board, there's no way for a stalemate to occur. This is checkmate, and on we go to the next game. Let's go bishop g7 here. This is so my opponent's also playing this bishop e3. Now, as I said, g4 is just a blunder. That's just a free pawn. That's why you have to go f3, because f3 stops knight g4, it guards the pawn, and it maybe you play g4 down the road. This is a free queen. Yes, this is not it. This is not it. This might be a troll, actually, because it's pretty bad to play g4 and hang the queen. Yeah. I'll just as always, I'll just try to trade the pieces now. Imagine playing so bad you're accused of trolling. Actually, you know what, though, to be fair, he might be a d4 player. Like he might be your classic London enjoyer, and he doesn't know how to play the opening. To be fair, like he might be a London enjoyer or something like that, where he doesn't play e4 at all. If you don't play e4 at all, actually there's a good chance you don't know what you're supposed to do. It's easy to forget that, because I've wasted my whole life playing chess. Does anyone know why I can't spectate this on chess.com? You should be able to. Yeah. Okay, and now I'm gonna play the other one. I'm gonna play bishop e3 first playable. You can't go knight g4 right away because there's a bishop b5 check trick. So now I play f3, stop knight g4, I guard, and I maybe go g4 thrusting. Play queen d2 and castles here. Thrusting. Now my opponent again plays e5. Now one thing that you have to be very careful about, one thing you have to be very careful when you play a dragon is, unlike the knight off where you put a pawn on a6, you're never putting a pawn on a6 in the dragon. So e5 is bad for a few reasons. First, you close this long diagonal for the classic dragon bishop, but then secondly, without a6, now you have this pawn that's super weak. So playing e5 in the dragon, you don't want to do. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. What we all want is for you versus match you want to play in Las Vegas will ever happen. I don't think it's going to happen. No, you guys, I don't see it happening. I think I'm just going to castle and pressure the pawn here on d6. See, this is why you can't push the pawn, because this pawn is super weak. It's just too weak here and you lose the game. And I'm going to be a little bit disrespectful here, but I'm very disappointed in my opponent. My opponent was Liam JG13. His rating is 1808 from Australia. An 1800 player, even online, is like 1400. They should not play e5 in the dragon. They should know better, because now he's just going to lose a pawn and he's in a lot of trouble. You still have to stream for Arena Kings. Yes, you do. You do. Correct. Indeed. Let's go bishop b5, pressure the knight on c6. I can go rook d1 here. Fabiano played e5 in the dragon. Of course, at the top level, it depends what the situation is, but you can't play it early the way that he just did. Someone said Candy's played 30k, I played 53k, and Joss has played 100k. Yes, well, actually, you guys, there is an account on the Internet Chess Club, an old site that doesn't really function so well anymore, or doesn't have many users, where there's a user on that on the Internet Chess Club who has played, I think, 750,000 games of chess. I mean, I'll find it. What's it? A66648. Yeah, I'll pull this up briefly. Okay, you guys, here we go. There was this, I'll change the scene for 1 second and we'll get back. But yeah, you see this, there was this guy A6648 from Israel. It says the number of games played. He's played how many games? Does it show the game? Actually, where do I see the games number? How do I see the games? I just want to see the total number. Is this what it is? It doesn't say it, but it says over 740,000 games played. So anyway, yeah, 125,000 blitz, 145,000 wild house games, 160,000 blitz, 295,000 bullet games. That's very disturbing. So all right, let's get back. I'm gonna take the pawn here. Yeah, it's definitely shall we say a little bit unusual. That's Tyler one's ICC account. Yes. Yeah, I'm just saying though, there are people who have spent a lot of time playing chess. Yeah, let's play rook takes pawn here on b6. I think on the internet chess club I played something like 100,000 150,000 maybe total, 150,000 ish is what I would say. Yeah, I think I played 150,000 ish. How's he so low rated? Because he probably started as an adult, and if you start playing chess as an adult, I mean at some point you can't improve, and that's why chess is annoying. Get king g7. I'm gonna go rook d6. Why did you leave ICC? There were a couple of reasons, but I would say first and foremost it's because I think the story goes all the way back to 2013. I'm gonna play knight d5 here. The story goes back to 2013 when chess.com was this like fledgling startup, and Danny and Eric basically asked me if I had an interest in being on the site. And it's not that ICC wasn't a good site at the time, but ICC was not really innovating. They weren't doing anything changing. The software was never changing. They were still using Telnet, which was software from the 1990s. And I was just very excited to try something new. So they essentially made me an offer. I did join them. And I started playing Title Tuesday. I think Title Tuesday even existed back in 2013. So it was just what they were doing at chess.com. I also had known Danny's wrench since we were kids. I'm gonna go king c2 here and just push the 3 pawns up the board. Go b4. Did I say Telnet? Yes, they were using, yeah, I think ICC was using Telnet technology as late as like 2015 2016. They might still use Telnet, I'm not sure, but like if you know what Telnet is, you're probably older than me, and I'm pretty old these days. So yeah, let's go a6 and takes, and c6 c7, just b5 here, takes, c6 c7, b5 b6, keep going. So anyway, all right, let's play one of the other very aggressive setups. This is what is known as the classic Levenfish variation. This is very, very sharp and very dangerous. You play f4 and e5, you thrust in the center immediately, and this is extremely dangerous for black to face. In fact, if black doesn't know what he's doing, you can win games very, very quickly. I said Levenfish, not the Levi fish. Let's go check. And already black's in a lot of trouble here. Like I just take and I win the game. So this is another one that's reasonably worth considering playing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is the Levenfish, not the Levy fish. Let's take. Is it cold in Florida? It's not super cold, but my room always gets really hot, probably from the computer and everything. So I'm just gonna castle here. I'm up a lot of material. I'm just gonna sack the queen, go g4. I just want to get rid of any of his attacking forces here. Less forces to attack with. That's generally, if you're a beginner, you want to just try and get rid of all the pieces if you're way ahead. I'm gonna take. I'm gonna sack for the bishop as well. I mean, I think the dragon is a good opening because it's very flexible and very easy to play. I do think the dragon, both the dragon and the accelerated dragon, I think are very reasonable opening choices as long as you know what you're doing. Now, hopefully, someone plays the Levy fish against me with f4. Because then I can show what the appropriate way to combat it is. So I can take. I can also go rook f8 next move. Just take and go rook f8, checkmate. Next game. Florida has 2 seasons, hot and rainy, maybe 4 cold days. Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna play the Levy fish again with f4 here. He goes to e5. I think after f4 knight c6 is supposed to be the best move, by the way, but he plays e5, which, as I said before, in the dragon, when you play e5, it's very dangerous because you create this permanent weakness with a backwards pawn, and you don't get the classic dragon bishop because you close the diagonal. Also, for anybody who's wondering about the dragon, the reason we call this a dragon is because when you look at this formation of the pawns, this pawn structure, this of course is the formation of the constellation the night sky, also known as Draco Malfoy. So those of you guys who are into astrology, you'll recognize this constellation with the 5-pawn setup. So that's why we call it the dragon, in honor of Draco Malfoy. Let's play queen d2 and castle to the queen side here. Weak pawn on d6 as well. Are you ready for the Candace tournament? I haven't even started preparing, so probably not, but who cares. Let's just castle. Oh, did I say astrology? I meant astronomy. Sorry, I did that. I made that mistake yesterday. Sorry, astronomy, not astrology. Yeah, astrology is the real science. Yeah. Okay, this just looks like a free juicer, but maybe, you know what, I'm gonna bring the bishop out and try to put maximum pressure because he has not developed any of these pieces. They're all in their starting squares here. There got to be a couple crystal balls on that shelf. No, I don't have any crystal balls. Top end is like stockfish, don't like the dragon. Well, that's one thing I would tell you guys is computer evaluations, computer thoughts on openings, they matter literally zero below a certain level. If your rating is not I would say over the board level, like 2200, maybe 22 is high these days, but if your over the board rating is not like 1800 or about 2200 ish online, openings mean absolutely nothing whatsoever. It doesn't matter as long as you get a position that's playable and you don't lose in the first 10 moves. Every opening is fine, literally every opening. Now I'm gonna go here. I'm threatening knight c7 or queen e7 with mates. This is very, very bad for my opponent. Well, I have time for fan interaction with the candidates. Very, very unlikely. I might, but I would say it's pretty unlikely. I'm gonna go check, take, and now the king is stuck. He also can't castle because I believe he played king d7 already, so he can't even castle the king away. Keep going. Next game. Magnus' username, I don't remember all of them, but one of them. Let's play this bishop e3 f3 bishop c4. I'm gonna play the Yugoslav this time. Knight g4 is not playable, as I mentioned before, because of bishop b5. So you go here, you go f3, support the chain, maybe g4, also stop knight g4, so it's threefold guard, threaten g4, but also stop knight g4. Okay, let's play the Yugoslav dragon, where I bring the bishops out to b3 and e3. Generally you play queen d2 and castles, or queen d2 bishop c4 b3 and castles. Just a question whether you want this bishop on this square or whether you want to just go for quick development and play on the king side. Now again, my opponent plays e5, which is not correct because now this d6 pawn is super weak. When you play the dragon, you want to open up the long diagonal. So playing e5, first of all, it shuts the diagonal, no scope, but then it creates a weakness. So e5 is not to be played in the dragon. Have I had white every game? I think I've had black a few, right? Let's take. I had black in the first game. Do I have new content plans? I'm pretty much just chilling, streaming, doing what I can right now until the candidates. It's going to be very tough because on top of everything, there's a Chess Champions Tour event which is starting in about 2 weeks as well. So the schedule is really not ideal for me. But I'll do what I can. So I don't have any like set plans like speed runs or things, just because I have to play the Champions Chess Tour in about 2 weeks. I do have to prepare for the candidates at some point, who knows when. So it's not easy right now. It's very difficult. In many ways, qualifying for the candidates was very bad for my real job, because I have to take time away from it to go and get ready. So it's not, so on the one hand, like, it's nice to qualify, but on the other hand, it's also not a good thing, because it means that I have to use my time very, very carefully because of that. So I'm gonna go knight a4 idea, knight b6, time to use these knights. I guess I'll just castle, or do I castle? I have multiple castles here. I think I'm just gonna go queenside because it's in the spirit of the theme. Goes a5. Okay, now I'm gonna go bishop c5. I'm really trying to line up some big threats here on the king side if possible with 2 bishops, maybe even bring this knight in, and I think I'm doing very well. Goes here. I mean, I really want to sack, but you know what, I'm just gonna start pushing pawns. I'm gonna push the p on the king side and really just try to take more and more space. Magnus, one of Magnus's ICC handles was, he had this funny Italian username. It was called Andrino Giardino, Andrino Giardino, so it's Andrino Giardino. That was one of the usernames he had, but not the only one. Just take. I've actually misplayed this. My opponent's in good shape if he finds a very important move here, because now the scope for the bishop is open on the diagonal. I'm gonna go here. He's got this open scope now, so with the open scope, black's actually doing okay here. Andrino Giardino. So yeah, he had an Italian username. I don't know why. Bishop h6, great move. Unfortunate for my opponent, I have f4, and now he put the bishop on the wrong diagonal. It's no longer scoping, and so now he's gonna have to waste time going back, and he's probably in trouble here. No, my username on the Internet Chess Club, I had a couple, but the earliest one I had was in the late 1990s. I think from about 1996-ish to, I'm gonna go e5, create a bash and a connect 3. 1996 or 7 to about 1999, I had the username chess-ninja. And then after that I had the username You're the Rabbit, probably from about 1999 2000ish. So I want to say 2000 2003 or 2004. And after that, the username that I'm probably most well known for was Smallville, which I had from 2004 till about 2011 12ish, whenever I stopped. Let's go here and hit the knight on g4. Yeah, I'm gonna go here, fork the rook and the queen, double attack, winning materials. Star Wars was on the chess.com was on not chess.com, on chessbase. Take the rook and win the game here. Did I like this show? I did like the show. I thought it was a great show about young Superman. Big fan of the show. Check and win the game. Okay, I'm again going to try to play Yugoslav. I assume my opponent actually knows the opening, although maybe they don't, which speaks more to the fact that possibly players at this level are not playing the dragon almost at all. After castles, I played g4 against the puzzle god Ray Robson. I crushed him in the US Championship in like 2012, but g4 is a little bit out there and only a move I play at top level. So again, I'm going to go bishop c4 and bishop b3 with queen d2. Let's drop back. Now I have the bishop on the scope. I'm going to go queen d2 and castles. If he plays e5, I'm going to be very upset. b5 or knight c6 are probably two main moves here. Let's go knight e2. Play queen d2 here. Again, my opponent creates a big weakness on d6. I talked to you guys. I see you said Capilano was the account. I didn't go to college in Vancouver. I was in Vancouver after I dropped out of college. But that was yes, I had the account Capilano, but that was never an account that I used super seriously. The a5, good move to play for a4. I actually like where his mind is at. Unfortunately for him, he's losing a pawn in the center, and he's in a lot of trouble. Don't people usually play the Italian? I think the Italian is a very bad opening to play at the beginner level. It's very, very closed, no open files. Maneuvering is not something I recommend at lower levels. I mean, what I mean by that is, like, even in the dragon here, you have a half open c file. There's play in the center of the board. They're open diagonals. The Italian is not a good opening because it's all about maneuvering. There are no open files on the board, so it's not I don't recommend it. I'm gonna go king b1 here. I think I'm just gonna go here, rook d1, stack on the open d file. Let's take, who is Raphael? Raphael, I believe, was Gary Kasparov. His combination, I think, of Kasparov, it was Kasparov or Kasparov and Morozevich, but I think it was just Kasparov's account. And I can actually confirm that because when I was working with Gary and I looked at his database, there were notes. And there were notes in the database, and one of the game references was a game that I played against him in online when he was Raphael. Let's play knight takes b5 and hit the queen and the rook here. Let's take and take. This e5 move is used by Magnus. Not in the position that it's played, that's for sure. Definitely not in this position. No, this, maybe you're confusing this with the Kalashnikov, because the Kalashnikov with the pawn on a6 and d6 you can play e5, but not with g6. Let's go back. I'm just going to start pushing the pawn with a double stack, and I don't think he's going to be able to stop the pawn. Was it fun working with Gary? I mean, I would say that there were some high moments, there were definitely some low moments. Goes to a3. I'm just going to play b3 here. I don't have to. I mean, I could go c4. Let's go here. Just keep pushing the pawn with the rook behind it. It's very, very powerful here. Go d7, rook behind the passed pawn, knight b7 to force the queen away, and then I push the pawn and win the game. I go here, push p, get a queen, GG. So we have Arena Kings in 28 minutes. Obviously, I'm gonna have to stop with 30 minutes left in the arena, unfortunately, but it's all good. So let's take the queen. Go check. I'm gonna go here and rook d1. 7,500 viewers, almost like Twitch. The viewership has been growing on Kick steadily. And I've said it before, but I would say it again. You know, at the end of the day, you can't worry about numbers. You just have to bring your best product. I'm going from 8-1 with Rook F7, by the way. You just have to bring your best product, do the high quality streams, and believe in what you're doing, and the viewership will come. So yeah, we have Arena Kings in 30 minutes, a competitive event, which I forgot about. I meant to make the arena 1 hour. I made it an hour and a half. I'll just take and go check. So I mean, like the early days, like when I first started streaming on Kick, like the first month or two, I think we had maybe 2,000 average viewership. But even though the viewership was very low, you have to believe in what you're doing. You have to believe that the viewers will come. And I think it's more an issue of many things. I think at the start, biggest issue is that Kick got a bunch of negative publicity. A lot of people were pushing this narrative that the only thing on Kick is gambling. They were pushing that very, very hard. And so a lot of people were like getting inundated with all these articles over and over and over again about gambling this, gambling that, and so people are very hesitant to even take a look. That's the first thing which happened. And second thing also is, frankly, when you have a new startup like Kick with what they're doing, I mean, a lot of people in general aren't going to be aware either. And I think the key is you have to get people to come over, look at what the streams are, and then once they get here, they realize that it's actually a lot different. And also the other thing that I think is really, really important, it's not just Chess TV. The numbers have been higher consistently if you look at the last couple of months. Like even I think going back to like October, November, the numbers have definitely been on big upswing. Let me just take on G7 and go Queen H6 here, and I should be winning the game. But the thing is also, you know, with Kick, they're extremely aggressive with the ads. Or not Kick, with Twitch, sorry. They are extremely aggressive with the ads. And like, you know, if I choose to like log out and go to a Twitch channel, doesn't matter which one. I mean, I get hit with that. Oh, okay, E5 again. I give up. Here, E5 is actually okay if he plays A6 though, because he didn't develop the bishop. It is actually okay because with the bishop on F8, I can't go knight B5. So oddly enough, the way he plays is fine. Yeah. I agree the streamer Jinxie used to stream in 2019 to 1 viewer today. In 2024 he streams 100k. I'd love to do something with Jinxie, actually. I have paid some casual attention to his stream recently, probably over the last like 2 months or so, because I mean I've seen his numbers are pretty amazing. And I heard he also very kindly said that he said I'm the best chess streamer, which is doesn't, you know, I don't need that. I don't need people to confirm it, but it's kind of nice to hear that. So maybe down the road I can do something with him. But actually Jinxie is a great example. A great example of A5. I'm gonna go check an A4 here. He's a great example of like what your mentality has to be when you start streaming. I'm gonna play A4 here. Stop this pawn from coming down. I've got this nice bishop, weakness on A5, great scope, can't really get rid of it. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something else, but he's a great example of how if you're looking to stream, the way you have to approach it, I'm gonna go here to stop him from castling, because now the two bishops control great scope. You have to look at it in the with the frame or the context of like you're doing it as something you're gonna enjoy, you're doing it as sort of a project that's for fun, see where it goes, rather than treating it as something where you're looking at it's like I'm gonna do this as a job, I'm gonna get really rich or whatever else. Like if you approach it with that mentality, you have a chance for success. But if you approach it with the mentality of like, you know, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna get like 5,000 viewers or whatever it is, you're probably not going to succeed. Because one thing that I think a lot of people underestimate is they underestimate how smart the viewer is. And if you're not genuine, like if it's very clear that you're like sort of looking at it as like you're hoping to get a lot of money and other things, the viewers will see through that. They will see through the facade. And that's one reason that I actually like really I mean I think it's a big pity that YouTube videos generally do better than live streams. So I think live streams it's much more live streams are much harder and much more difficult, I guess you could say, because the fact is when you're live, there's no editing, none of the stuff. Like who you are, your personality, who you are, like that is who you are. With a video, you can fake anything you want. You can fake personality, you can make 20 edits. Like it's not in real time. I mean, everything is so contrived in my opinion. So I find it sad that like with YouTube videos, the monetization process and all these things, like it does better than live streams. Let's take. Okay, now I'm gonna go Queen E6 and hit the knight, hit the pawn on D6 as well. And I can also go Rook F1. King is still very much stuck on E8. Okay, I'm gonna go Rook F1 here, take the file. A lot of pressure. My opponent's under massive pressure here in the center of the board. Really very, very difficult to play. No, it has nothing to do with Levy. or chess in general. It has to do it's just a general comment. It's not about chess. It's like, it's just in general. I think the notion of having to be live like 6-7 hours a day and streaming is much harder, much more difficult than making a video. Because like with a video, if you make it, let's just say you make a 30-minute video, I mean, obviously Mr. Beast has really he's really pioneered this, but you know, if you look at like a video of 30 minutes, you can probably take 3 hours and make tons and tons of edits here and there to everything to make a video perfect. In a live stream, you don't have that. You don't have that. I'm gonna take on d7 here, and hit the rook of the knight. So I mean, I do think live streaming is a lot different. Levy's a lot less nice. Okay, whatever. This isn't about Levy. I'm gonna play bishop e3, f3, and bishop c4 again. I think this guy knows the right line of knight c6 probably. Yeah, he does. Okay, so now I go bishop b3, retreat the bishop, queen d2. This guy knows the theory. I'm gonna play queen d2 now. He's trying to get rid of this bishop on the diagonal, or maybe go rook c8 and knight c4. This is pretty good stuff. So now I'm gonna castle here. You can't say YouTube. Well, I mean, if I say YouTube, everyone's gonna make that assumption. So what to do now? Taking with a pawn a little bit risky. I maybe could take with a knight, but I'm gonna go here and get rid of this dark square B, because if he can keep the two B's, there's a lot of pressure. So it's time to exchange the bishops. But yeah, ultimately though, with live streaming though, I would just say that I think a lot of people, the people really do underestimate the viewers. What's it about? It's a general comment about it's a comment about live streaming versus YouTube videos. Play h4 h5 here. I'm trying to attack on the king side. Why would it be about Levy? I can't make a general comment about live streaming versus videos. Like, play h5, keep attacking on the king side. Now the question here is, can he break through quicker than I break through on the king side is a big question. Now I'm gonna I could play g4. I can also go knight d5 maybe. I actually have to be careful here because he's actually very fast here on the queen side. Very fast here on the king side. Maybe queen side. Maybe I go, this is kind of dangerous. I think I'm gonna go king d2. So on b4 I have knight d5 maybe, or knight e2. It's a little bit scary though. I have to be careful. I'm gonna go here. If he takes, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to go for mate. I'm going for mate and 1 with queen h7. And the other reason I slid the king here is after knight f6 back to guard against the mate, I can go knight f5, and after queen c2 my king just runs. The king is loose. Let's go here. I might be getting mated, but I think I'm fine because I'm mating him on g7 or h7 if he doesn't have a way to survive. Let's go here. He can sack, but I just take the queen. It's very dangerous. If he takes, I just take. I guess I block. I just realized I have this block. I don't have to move the king forward. Now I slide over. Queen guards the rook. I'm still threatening mate and Uno with queen g7, so it should be winning. Checks. Okay, I guess this is still tricky. I can run the king to h3 maybe. I run the king all the way over. I mean, he still can't stop the two mates because if he moves the knight, he gets mated here. If he doesn't move the knight, he can't stop the mate without sacking. Yeah, so he has sacked queen. Now I take, and now I've got all these pawns here, and my king is just very safe here. The queen should be better than the bishop and the knight in the long run. Thanks so much to Main Card IO for the 5 gifted subs. Thanks so much to Main Card IO. Mr. Main Card IO, check your email. I believe I did send you an email related to that other email that you sent me a while back. So let's go here. I'm gonna go king g3 and go for check on ah8, but thank you for the 5 gifteds. I'm gonna go here. Basically what I want to do is take this knight, because once I sack the rook for the knight here, I just want to simplify the position. Let's just take. I'm just sacking this to get rid of this knight. It's very annoying. It guards its king. I think I'll just play queen d2, hit the pawns. Now I have rook h7 as well to attack the king. Good g4. It's all emails all the way down. Exactly, yeah. So now I have rook h7 in play. I have queen d6 or queen b4. I think I'm just going to check on d3. Classic right triangle. Let's take the pawn. Rook h7. I'm saving this move as long as I can. Maybe I'll just go here now and activate this way, which also makes a lot of sense. What was it like dealing with the hate when you first started? I mean, it's not easy, obviously. And as I've said many times about chess, like I know people get annoyed at me for saying sometimes, but your chess rating effectively in the world of chess, your chess rating is your clout basically. So you know, the higher rating you get, the more that people suck up to you and all this other stuff and whatnot. So like in chess, generally you're viewed as like, for the most part, as some kind of like superhero or whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna go here, and mate. You're viewed as some kind of like superhero. We still have what, 17 minutes left. And so you're not really used to people being negative or nasty. And so it's really important that if you're intending to stream, especially as a strong player, and I mean, actually, not that I give advice, and I would never give advice to this guy considering all the stuff that he's done over the last couple of months, but if you're actually serious about being a streamer and you're a top chess player, you really have to check your ego in at the door. You have to check your ego in at the door, and you have to basically be able to laugh at yourself, have fun, and not take things too seriously. So I'm going to castle, go bishop h6, h4. Very, very aggressive approach here. I mean, I really do think this is very, very dangerous for black. So that is actually what I would say is that if you're a top player and you're looking to do it, like you're so used to everyone like sucking up to you and being like, oh, you're the greatest thing ever, blah blah blah, all this stuff when you're in the chess world, and you really have to like dial it down and like just enjoy yourself, have fun, laugh at yourself, all things that a lot of top players don't know how to do actually. So it takes, I'll take back. But that's probably the single most important thing. Like, and it's difficult because when I started too, it's like you come into this and you're streaming, you're thinking like, I'll tell you what happens if you're a top player and you come into streaming. Here's at least for me, I would say this, and I think this probably applies to everybody. I'm in trading, go h5. The way that you do it is you're like, you come into it, it's like, okay, I'm you know, who am I? I'm like you know, I'm what's an example? I'm Kamsky, okay? I'm Kamsky. Since someone says FFL, I'll use him as an example. It's like, I'm Kamsky. I'm a former world champion contender. I was so close to winning. I played Veselin Topalov in a world championship match. I'm awesome. I'm amazing. I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like, that's the attitude you're gonna have. But in reality, nobody online cares what you did. Nobody cares. It's like, okay, big deal. You played Veselin Topalov. Who the heck is Veselin Topalov? Some random Bulgarian chess player. Like, okay, who cares? Like, whatever. So you really sort of have to you have to sort of dial it back and just not take yourself so seriously. Really, really important to do that. Anish seems like the chillest of the top guys. I mean, Anish is like all top guys, fairly insane too, though. I mean, he's better at he's better at containing it, but he's pretty insane as well. Like, all the top guys are. Like, the only difference between, say, like myself, Magnus, and like, I don't know, Fabian or Anish, is that they're better at controlling. Like, Magnus, when he loses, gets really upset. Same goes for me. That's the only difference. They're better at hiding it. That's it. So let's play queen g7 and hit the knight here. And for me personally, I would also say, like, I don't know, but like, if I'm a viewer, I'd much prefer someone who's gonna like show how they feel and really let it out, rather than someone who's busy trying to keep it inside and hide it, so that like people don't think like, wow, this guy's crazy. So to each their own, obviously, but that's just me. Okay, takes. I think there should be a mate here. Maybe check. There's no actual mate though. I think I'm just gonna take the pawn, take, and try to queen, because now threatening to queen and the knight is under attack, so it should be winning. Yeah, Nepo doesn't hide his emotions either. That's true. Nepo doesn't. Yeah. Take the knight, take the pawn. I just push these pawns up the board. The two pawns escort each other, and I get a queen. Now let's go g7, queen, and I just win the game. Let's check, and there should be a forced mate. Yeah. Okay, now I get a black game, so finally I can showcase how you're supposed to play. He's gonna go f3. I did play the dragon, by the way. Now here, knight g4 still allows bishop b5, so I can't do it, so I should just castle. I want to go here, but there's always this check idea, so I have to get the king out. He goes f3. I'll play knight c6. Probably I'm gonna play d5 here and try to rip open the center for this awesome long diagonal bishop. Let's go d5. Okay, now I have two options. I'm gonna take with the knight, really just rip open the diagonal, And now I also get a big black center after e5, so I've got a lot of scope here. Rook b8, like if he were to castle, there's rook b8 and queen a5, and just like that he's under tons of pressure. So now I'll play e5 and build a big black center. He'll probably castle kingside, I assume, but I've got the 2 pawns in the center, so it should be very, very pleasant for me. So he castles. Let's go bishop e6 here, probably queen c7. Maybe bishop b7 was better. I'm not sure if it was better to have the 2 b's on the 2 diagonals, but I kind of want these diagonals instead. So I'll go here, sidestep any threats on the file, probably put a rook on d8 to support the pawn, maybe push one down the road. Okay, let's just go here, I guess. Maybe d4, maybe e4. I'm still just waiting. I can also go f5 and support all these pushes. Okay, let's just go for it. I'm gonna go f5. I'm starting to push the pawns here. Menacing black center looks very, very scary for my opponent. Actually, f5 maybe not a good move. Goes queen e2. I can play d4 here. I can also go e4. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna line up the classic double stack and really get ready to force d4 through. Never play e5 in the dragon. Well, this is a very open position. Okay, I think I'm gonna go check here, hit the king, hit the pawn. I really want to go like rook d8 and d4 or e4 somewhere here. Okay, let's just go rook d8, support the pawn pushes here. They'll probably trade. I'll take back. Goes queen c1. Okay, I think I'm just gonna go d4, and the reason I'm gonna go d4 instead of e4 is because I really want to open up scope for this bishop potentially. Like I want this bishop, I want the wooden shield to attack everything. Oh, he had bishop e3, which I missed, but I want to get the wooden shield with the bishop here, and I also control the only open file on the d file as well. Yeah, I didn't play e5 until I had already a pawn on d5. It was much later on when the structure transposed, or changed, I should say. Why does Magnus never play Arena Kings? He loves online tournaments. Probably because it's okay. I'm gonna go here, claim the lane, maybe I'm gonna create the kebab with rook d2 next move to hit everything, and I also have bishop d5 as well, so I've got a lot of play here. I think there's a Gordy for the 10-month reset. Thanks for Gordy. Okay, I'm gonna go rook d2, pressure everywhere. There's also queen c5 or queen d4 as well to hit the king. Go check, and now he's in really bad shape. Queen f2 is winning, but I'm going to play bishop d5 to showcase the power of all my pieces. Look at all these pieces. They're in this little box here. My pieces are all super, super active, all really, really well placed here. He resigns. Let's go again. We have time for one more, and then I'll take a short break. For this one, I'm going to play a more standard one. I'll play bishop e2, castles. I'm going to go bishop e3, guard the knight, and then f4. Now in these lines, I think e5 is sometimes playable depending. Sometimes this is a playable move in this setup, but against the f3 setups with the 3 pawns, the chain, e5 is almost never playable. Thanks so much to A Mikey for the gift of sub. I will take with the bishop, not the queen, because if I take with the queen, there's knight g4 to open up the scope. So now he can't play here because I just trade and take the knight. Knight guards the pawn as well. Ooh, market looking really ugly today. Really ugly. Tesla not doing great either. Yikes. Yeah, literally it looks like the market, there are 2 stocks that are up and everything else is terrible. He goes queen c7. Yeah, now e5 is definitely a move later on, so I'm gonna go bishop f3. Or sorry, thank you so much to A Mikey for subbing, not gifting a sub. Sorry, thank you for the sub, A Mikey. Appreciate it. Now e5 is actually playable in this structure. Completely reasonable. I'm gonna drop back so I can take and pressure the pawn on d6 potentially. So let's see. Goes rook d8. Don't be salty. Everyone is beautiful in their own way. What? Huh? Are you troll? Huh? Is that a reply to someone? Or are you talking? Are you talking to me? Or are you replying to some? Huh? I just saw someone write that. It says don't be salty. That's a mistake, by the way, because I take and go f5 here, and now I close the diagonal. This bishop is getting trapped by h3 g4, and I have knight d5 to hit the queen with a nice bastion. I assume that was a reply. I think that was a reply to somebody. I think it was meant to be a reply to someone, not to me. But anyway, it's because I said the position is pretty ugly. It's like H. I said the position's pretty ugly, so therefore, okay. Learn something new every day. Or no, I said the market is ugly. Oh, I said the market is ugly. Oh, that's what I said, not the position. Yeah, I was saying the market looks pretty ugly today. Yeah, I called stocks ugly. Thank you. I'll just take the bishop. Yeah. Yeah, I called the stock market ugly. The stock market is not a living entity, so it's kind of hard. Anyway, I get the bastion here. Play f6 bishop h6 next move. Let's go check, fork the king and the queen, and we get the win. All right, guys, I'm gonna take a short break, use the restroom, and I'll be right back. And we're gonna start with Arena Kings. I didn't really I was supposed to be a 1 hour arena. I accidentally made it 1.5, so I'm gonna have to drop out of the arena, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna go use the restroom very quickly, and we'll be back with Arena Kings in about 5 minutes. So give me 1 second.